growing industrial sector, constituting a major source of employment, thereby taking population lift in the rural to urban areas. I wish them happy saving. I wish them good luck on various days they are going to venture out to catch fish. And thank you for watching.
Are you going to be taking money from them?
Sir?
The last one, we want to go around here and carry for this. That people can't just decide with the past people are traveling. Therefore, perhaps they're traveling with the friends, they will not carry for that protection. Which one? They want this one. This one. Moses. Are the lights on? Yes. What water? This is the rain water.
Of the cultural activities planned March the 9th celebration started yesterday with
pleasure and privilege to be with you this morning to deliver an address at this August gathering put together by the board of the Agency for Mass Education. September 8th of each year is recognized as the Literacy Day. It's celebrated immediately after the launching of the 1990 International Literacy Year. Your presence today is an indication of your support for the cause of education in general. As we are all aware of the importance of literacy education in both individual and national development, one cannot but support literacy education programs. In line with the functions of the agency, therefore, it is my sincere belief that the greater the percentage of functional literate people in a country, happy to state that my ministry has been midwifing the agency since its inception and will still continue to render assistance for the realization of the objectives of the Agency for Mass Education. A gathering of professionals and experienced practitioners of adult education of the importance of motivation in teaching. Our ability to recognize the adult learners as unique individuals in themselves needs the motivating factors that can affect the participation and the mass education program. Do not adopt any negative attitude or technique, or else I hope the deliberations at this seminar would no doubt produce concrete suggestions has been superior rests on the cooperation of all. We cannot afford to fail. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, in absentia, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
I say this because I have the vantage positioning to being the national treasurer of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities. And I know that there has been a lot of negotiations that have been going on between us and the federal government. And in that regard, it has opened up a lot of arena and an understanding of the dynamics of the conception or perception of the state regarding what they have or what they feel the Nigerian literacy situation should look like. I will not bother by taking us into the origins of education in Nigeria. Suffices to say that the colonial origins of the Nigerian educational system, at least former Western educational system, is such that was biased, informed by Judeo-Christian biases, elitized, and much later on commercialized. The implication of this was that in the last analysis, quite a large segment of the population were marginalized and therefore alienated from the general requirements of the state machinery that was put in place by the colonial authorities. And the resultant effect, therefore, was that the bureaucracy and other attendant superstructural apparatuses that were put in place by the government could not be occupied by a majority of the people that constitute the Nigerian nation state. But this reform, cosmetic as they were, could not actually anchor on the fundamental basis of the alienation of the majority of the Nigerian people. Therefore, at independence, it became apparent that something needed to be done about the educational system. In 1990, when the Brilonge Commission was established. But as far as we are concerned, most of these commissions and committees, if they are anything to go by, do not seem to us for the continued mass illiteracy in the Nigerian system. So that, according to a World Bank report published in 1989, Nigerian literacy percentage was put at 42. This is considering that there are other informal sectors that kind of facilitate the educational system. In other words, the basis of the general poor literacy rate in the country, to also look at the way the government is addressing it, and then finally to look at how government ought to address it. The most basic and cogent attempt at addressing the literacy problem in Nigeria has been one of the cardinal bases of the establishment of all development plans beginning from 1962. However, when you go through the actual implementation of such plans, you discover that there is an actual emphasis or even marginalization of the educational sector in the operationalization of such development plans. Such that even though, for instance, by 1975-76, education took the second priority on the development plan list, but by 1982-83, education had come to occupy the seventh priority list. And today, education is not even on the seventh priority list of the government. We must ask ourselves, why is this so? It is simply that over time, because of the increasing nature of the crisis that has begotten the country, government has come to be informed and has come to accept that able to overcome its economic and social crisis, it needed to de-emphasize on sectors that it considered as being unproductive. By the time the IMF and the World Bank were imposing conditionalities on the country as early as 1982-83, the government was being forcibly asked to cut down on social services or other sectoral allocations or expenditure that goes to sectors that will facilitate the entire development of the economy, such that will condition or guarantee the granting of such loans. And it is in this regard that education, which is a vital social service sector and a manpower developmental sector, came to be relegated to the government. And I'm saying that with the government's position on educational philosophy of the country or the educational policy Now, what then has come out of this general misrepresentation of what is supposed to be a national policy of education as endorsed by the federal government as far back as 1981? In order to cope with the crisis, the government has gone ahead to proliferate agencies and committees, such as the Primary Schools Board, the Non-Formal Education Board, the Nomadic Education, Board, etc., etc. Importance of these agencies and committees, but generally there is a deliberate policy or deliberate attempt on the part of those who are supposed to motivate, to sensitizing the people into accepting these formal structures and therefore availing themselves to whatever opportunities are provided by these structures. In other words, I'm saying that although these projects and committees by themselves constitute one big way by which government will facilitate, reaching out and educating the people, but that you discover that did not be seen as a cost-benefit factor. In other words, I'm saying that nowhere in the world, and especially in the developed world for us, can any nation afford to gamble with its potential manpower. Now, what has come out of the entire government policy so far is not so much a question about literating the population, as it were, is a long-term program with long-term excess consequences and dividends to any nation. A facility that must facilitate the development of the entire educational sector. I give one or two examples. For instance, the 6334 system, way back in 1984-85, or is it 86? What came out of that policy? In part, the policy was okay, because the first six, the second six, or the first three, or the second three. But what happened in the last analysis? The policy ended up in a situation whereby schools were arbitrarily masked, facilities were not provided. Even where facilities were provided, such institutions could not operate them or could not put them in place because monies were not provided for them. Secondly, even institutions where the 6334 system was operational could not even have the finances to be able to take off. Teachers and facilitators of the program did not understand the program properly. So in the end of it all, you find out that some states were able to take off, others were not able to take off. And in the last analysis, you found a situation in which the sector that was affected were the sector that were to produce middle cadre manpower to service the sectors of bricklayer, carpentry, etc., etc. And we are saying that, look, it is okay, because in any state in the world, especially in the developed countries, there are always rooms for checking off some people who cannot be sustained within the educational system. But you must not make it a cardinal policy without reorienting the entire educational policy to now make it mandatory that you create or put in place an educational policy that will be turning out a large chunk of carpenters and bricklayers. Because at this stage in our economic development, what the Nigerian developmental state requires is not so much carpenters and bricklayers. What we require are much higher than those. We require doctors, nucleophysicists, aeronautic engineers, etc., etc. From the 6334 educational policy, because the way it was oriented is such that does not address the larger majority of the people. It is okay, for instance, to say that, look, okay, we put in place this
to address and appeal to the United Nations General Assembly to proclaim International Literacy Year. By Resolution 41/118, the General Assembly of the United Nations Organization at its 41st session in December 1986 approved UNESCO's appeal at its 23rd session to proclaim an International Literacy Year. Subsequently, the year 1990 was adopted as the International Literacy Year. But 8 September had, by a previous resolution, been adopted as the International Literacy Day. Accompanying the International Literacy Year helped to draw the attention of the government, workers, and the general public to the magnitude of the illiteracy problem, a situation which is better statistically data presented, whom live in developing countries, while 162 million of them are from Africa. This includes Lagos State. Women are more seriously affected than men. The respective rates of illiteracy being 34.9% for women and 20.5% for men. According to the UNESCO sources, a majority of the world's illiterates live in rural areas, often in dire poverty. However, illiteracy rates are also high in urban slums and in the shanty towns which surround many third world cities. In addition to its global significance, the year 1990 is of importance to us in Lagos State because it was then that an agency for mass education was established in the state to streamline efforts and programs on adult literacy and mass education. Education activities were carried out in many government departments without a central coordinating body. The expectation is that with the setting up of the agency, this will become a thing of the past.
This is
Collaboration from administration and countries are made for that NFI. Please welcome address.
In absentia, the Directors General, Others and Chiefs, local government representatives, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Lagos State Agency for Mass Education has since the 1st of September 1991 been celebrating the 1991 National International Literacy Year. This weekend, a week-long celebration, which is targeted literacy and development, is an effort at drawing attention to the problems of illiteracy, finding solutions to the problems, and getting assistance from the government, non-governmental bodies, and individuals alike. The magnitude of the problem of illiteracy in Lagos State is highlighted by the fact that by the year 2018, the number of illiterates would have surpassed the total population of the state if unchecked. Consequently, one of the major functions of the agency is to eradicate illiteracy in the state. Our agency has recently concluded a survey of illiterates in Lagos State, and 2,800 illiterate adults and young persons were recorded. The survey of illiterates will be a continuous exercise in order to identify and map out literacy programs for the daily emigrants into the state. The agency will commence induction courses for supervisors and instructors, after which classes shall be opened. While the classes are on, the agency shall draw up a plan to further solidify its presence in the local government areas and establish more positive relationship with the governments there. Other functions of the agency will include the planning, implementation, and control of vocational and continuing education programs for adults and young persons for the enhancement of integrated rural development, as well as drawing up and implementing numerous public mobilization and enlightenment programs directed towards positive changes for development will be vigorously pursued and monitored in the state. What's before us is clear and achievable, but it's also costly financially and morally. The state government has demonstrated its commitment in very lucid form and on an encouraging note. But the military governor, sir, the nature of our work is such that just like Oliver Twist, we may ask for more oftentimes. The private sector to come to assist the government, as the government cannot fund education alone. If they cannot help to teach one adult, they can fund the teaching of one or groups. I seize this opportunity to thank organizations like the Baptist Mission, the Soroptimist International, and other bodies connected with adult education for their contributions to the eradication of illiteracy in Lagos State. I also thank the military governor of Lagos State, Colonel Raji Alagberasake, FSS PSC, and the deputy governor, Alaja Latifa Modupeola Okunu, for a successful implementation of the board's programs of activities to get rid of illiteracy in Lagos State by the year 2000 AD. Lagos State, the Deputy Governor, Honorable Commissioners, Directors General, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Governors of the Lagos State Agency for Mass Education, I welcome you again to the grand finale of the 1991 National/International Literacy Week celebrations in the state. Thank you and God bless.
Bàbá wa, ẹ̀yin màmá wa, látòrí gómìnà wa, lórí igbákejì wọn, lórí gbogbo àwọn aláṣẹ, lórí gbogbo ẹ̀yin kábíyèsí ikú bàbá yèyé aláṣẹ ìkejì òrìṣà. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wá láti ìjọba àbílẹ̀, mo kí gbogbo yín dé ẹ káàbọ̀ sí orí ètò yìí o. Ẹni pé a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò náà, awádé aláàjì wọn jíde, wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ka ọ̀rọ̀ ìkáàbọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ kíni káàbọ̀ sí wa létí ní èdè Yorùbá. Gbogbo wa náà la fi mọ lárí tí a tún gbé wa lẹ́yìn. A péjọ síbí fún ayẹyẹ àṣekágbá ti ètò mọ̀ọ́kọ̀mọ̀ọ́kà kárí ayé tí wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó láti ọjọ́ kìíní oṣù.
Nísìnyí, màá wá ṣe ilé ìdí ẹ máa ṣe sínú ìwé yín kí ẹ gbáradì.
Àwọn ọmọ eléyìí àwọn tó ń tà. Èyí tó mọ ilé tó lè yá lọ́wọ́ ní bẹ̀rẹ̀. Tó lè yá lọ́wọ́ ní ìlú. Tó lè yá lọ́wọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ yìí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ tà yìí lè fi hàn.
Ọ̀yá mo fẹ́ kí a máa ṣe lọ.
Èdè mọ́dà fún center unit lọ́wọ́ àmì ẹ̀. Ẹ̀yẹ́ kọ́lẹ̀ ló center unit ẹ̀yọ ọgọ́rùn-ún. Unit lọ́wọ́ àmì ẹ̀. Kò yẹ gbọ́dọ̀ ló center unit.
Títí ìtò náà ó yẹ wọ́n mi ṣe àwọn. Àkìlẹ̀ ló pamọ́.
Wá.
Tí a bá ro ẹ̀ka kan mẹ́ta ọdún èlò. Pẹ̀lú ẹ̀kọ́ náà pamọ́ ọdún èlò.
7.
It is a pleasure to address the gathering of eminent personalities on the occasion of the grand finale of the 1991 National International Literacy Day celebration. I am grateful to the organizers of this ceremony for having afforded me this opportunity, and I hope that by now we will have learned very useful lessons from the seminars, debates, and radio TV discussions organized as part of the weekly activities marking the celebration. As we all recall, UNESCO, that is United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, in 1985 declared 8 September of every year as the World Mass Literacy Day, the aim of which was to create awareness and pool resources from amongst nations of the world towards the eradication of illiteracy globally. Literacy is a vital instrument for confronting the major threats of our increasingly interdependent world poverty, diseases, famine, environmental degradation, and underdevelopment. Today's celebration is therefore very crucial in our efforts to collectively fight illiteracy in our societies and make literacy, including numeracy, our national priority. In 1985, a document titled Current Literacy Situation in the World by UNESCO opened that Nigeria had a literacy rate of about 60%, and Lagos State has its own share of this percentage. This is not encouraging. Government has therefore renewed its determination to eradicate illiteracy from the state. It is in realization of this objective that the Board of Governors of the Lagos State Agency for Mass Education was inaugurated on 27 August 1990. I'm particularly happy to know that the agency has, through the past year, made its impact through campaign which has increased the level of literacy in the state. This notwithstanding, the state government is irrevocably committed to the promotion of literacy development in the state, and will continue to give every encouragement to the state agency. It is on record, however, that Kano and Cross River states have in the past won UNESCO awards for their efforts in the eradication of illiteracy in their states. I'm now charging your agency to work as conscientiously as we will put you in an enviable award-winning position. Every part of the state must pay your impact. The 38,800 illiterate inhabitants of the state recently identified during the literacy survey conducted by your agency must be encouraged and developed literally. Other illiterate inhabitants, including children of school age that have no opportunity of attending formal institutions, should be seriously identified and motivated to become literate by the year 2000 and beyond. On this note, I'd like to congratulate the Deputy Governor's Office, General Services Department, Military Governor's Office, and the Minister of Education for assisting the agency to solve many of its teaching problems, particularly in the areas of staffing, physical accommodation,
and other promotive needs. To the various prize winners, I say congratulations. A literate person is a very special person, as literacy opens many doors to opportunities. Anybody who has contributed to making the other person literate, or who has himself crossed the barrier of illiteracy, should therefore be congratulated. I do sincerely pray that you will all use the gains of your literacy towards the betterment of our great country. Ladies and gentlemen, as we admire the beautiful arts and crafts and agricultural products exhibited by our adult learners and participants from various community development groups, we should not relent in our efforts to assist them morally, intellectually, and financially to enable them master the literacy of their vocational skill for individual development as well as national development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely thank the chairman and members of the agency for organizing this week activity. I also congratulate all those who benefited from the literacy drive, and I pray that the Almighty God will guide your footsteps whenever you go, and bless your endeavors. I thank you all for listening.
Lẹ́yìn tí wọ́n ti gbogbo wa lápapọ̀, wọ́n ní àwọn láyọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ láàárọ̀ yìí láti bá wa pé níbi ayẹyẹ ètò mọ̀ọ́kọ́mọ̀ọ́kọ́ àkárí ayé èyí tí à ń ṣe lónìí yìí. Lórí èyí tí wọ́n ti ya ọjọ́ kẹjọ oṣù kẹsàn-án ọdún kọ̀ọ̀kan sọ́tọ̀ fún ìgbélárugẹ ètò náà. Wọ́n ní àwọn
They just
ẹ̀pẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ̀pẹ́ alárọ̀ ẹ̀pẹ́ oríire. Níbi ni wọ́n sì ń kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àgbà. Ẹ ṣé o, adúpẹ́ o, wọ́n ń kọ́ wọn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ oríire o, fún ọ̀nà ráńpẹ́ àwọn tó kù lọ. Àwọn ni ẹgbẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ fínì ti Ṣómólú. Àwọn pe aṣojú wọn two brand. Àwọn nìyẹn o. Ẹ ṣé o, olúwa túbọ̀ máa fún yín ṣe o.
Here this morning to witness this anniversary. For if you have not endowed us with that is mercy, we will not be here. So we thank him. On behalf of the agency, I thank the military governor of the state for giving his speech to inaugurate this agency, more so being the first state to have its own agency immediately after the announcement of the federal military government. We thank the deputy governor for sharing the time also to be here, and all the members of the state executive council, the others and chiefs. I've been directed to take the permission of the military governor so that there won't be any cause for any interpretation because of the time factor. So I'm taking the permission of the military governor to express our thanks also in our language, that is Yoruba. Mo ní adúpẹ́ ní ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run tí ó jẹ́ kí gbogbo wa wà ní ayé, kí a wà ní ààyè láti wà ní bíbá ní ọjọ́ ìlú láti rí gbogbo nǹkan tí ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gómìnà wa tí ó fún wa ní ààyè tí ó fi dá ẹgbẹ́ yìí sílẹ̀ láti rí wípé kò ní sí àìmọ̀ọ́kọ tàbí àìmọ̀ọ́kà ní orílẹ̀-èdè Èkó. Wọ́n ní mo dúpẹ́ ní ọwọ́ deputy governor wa, igbákejì gómìnà wa, wípé wọ́n fi àyè sílẹ̀ láti bá wa pé síbí báyìí. A dúpẹ́ ní ọwọ́ àwọn aláṣẹ ìlú Èkó àti pàápàá náà lọ́wọ́ olórí àwọn ẹgbẹ́ tí ó ń ṣe ètò yìí, àwọn ọba àti àwọn òjòyè àti gbogbo àwọn ẹni tí a pè tí wọ́n sì wà. Wípé nǹkan tí ó bá ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ó ní òpin. Òpin ayẹyẹ ti ọdún yìí ni a wà ní àsìkò yìí. Nítorí náà, gbogbo nǹkan tí a ti ṣe ní èyí yìí, ó jẹ́ nǹkan ìwúrí fún gbogbo wa. Àwọn ẹni tí wọ́n sì fi orúkọ wọn sílẹ̀ nígbà tí wọ́n ṣe ètò ní oṣù kẹfà ọdún yìí, wípé kí wọ́n wá máa jèrè, kí wọ́n wá jẹ nínú ètò tí wọ́n gbé sílẹ̀ yìí, pé kí wọ́n lọ fi orúkọ wọn sílẹ̀ ní ibi secretariat wọn. Wọ́n sì ní wípé nǹkan pé gbogbo wa pátápátá kí a má jẹni tí ó máa di wípé wọ́n máa fà ní mú, nítorí tí àbá mọ̀ nǹkan tí àbá mọ̀ ká. Irú ẹni tá a rí nínú eré yẹn a máa ń di owó bò wá lójú, ọ̀rọ̀ owó kò ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́. Torí náà, a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo yín wípé ẹ ṣe ẹ̀wá tí a bá tún pè yín ní ọdún tó ń bọ̀ tún wá. Ṣùgbọ́n pẹ́pẹ́ tí ọdún yẹn tí gbogbo yín tí ẹ ti orúkọ sílẹ̀ nígbà tí ètò yẹn bá bẹ̀rẹ̀, kí ẹ rí pé ẹ lọ sí ilé ìwé tí wọ́n ṣe sí àdúgbò yín tàbí níbi ọjà yín. Ìwé yín wọ́n máa rà fún yín ni, ọ̀fẹ́ ni ẹ ní sanwó iléèwé pàápàá náà. Torí náà, ẹ má jẹ́ kí owó tí ìjọba tó ṣe kó má jẹ́ òfò, kí owó náà kó kùnà. Wọ́n pèsè ìjọba and members of the church for sharing the thanksgiving of the
Governor, Honorable Commissioner Chairman, General President, I welcome you to the ceremony of the swearing in of 6 senators for the reconstituted local Lagos state. Without vote and I will ask respect to perform the swearing in.
I do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear the true allegiance of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as sole administrator of the Ikeja local government, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and law, and always in the interest of the sovereignty, integrity, solidarity, well-being and prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will strive to preserve the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy contained in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will exercise the authority vested in me as sole administrator so as not to impede or prejudice the authority lawfully vested in the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and so as not to endanger the continuance of federal government in Nigeria. That I will not allow my personal interest to influence my official conduct or my official decisions. That I will do the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will abide by the Code of Conduct contained in the fifth schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That in all circumstances, I will do right to all manner of people according to the law, except as may be required for the due discharge of my duties as sole administrator, and that I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of Nigeria. So help me God. That I will be faithful unto the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that
So solemnly swear that the faithful and faithful allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as the sole administrator of Lagos Mainland Local Government, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Lagos, and always.
Senior Nagola, do solemnly swear affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Government of Nigeria as the sole administrator of Lagos Mainland Local Government. I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I, Adiola Olajide Johnson, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the sole administrator of Mushin Local Government, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law. Do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the sole administrator of local government, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Do solemnly swear and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the sole administrator of Local Government, I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Members of the State Executive Council, the Secretaries, ladies and gentlemen, you will recall that on 10th May 1989, I announced the creation of 4 additional local governments, which brought to 12 the number of local governments in the state. On August 27, 1991, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, in his address to the nation, announced the creation of 47 additional local governments in the Federation, including 3 new local governments in Lagos State, bringing the number of local governments in the state to 15. The newly created local governments are Alimosho local government on the former Ikeja local government. We show the sort of local government from the former Mushin local government and Sule local government from the former Lagos mainland local government. The creation of the 3 new local government areas in the state has affected 3 former local governments, namely Ikeja, Lagos mainland, and Mushin, which has all been reconstituted. Furthermore, in exercise of the powers conferred on him by Section 34 of the Local Government Basic Constitutional and Transitional Provision, Decree 1989, Decree number 15 of 1989, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has dissolved all the elected local government councils, from which 47 new local governments have recently been created. Mr. President also approved the removal from office of the elected chairman and vice chairman of each of the affected local governments. In the interim, and until by-elections are held in these local government areas, sole administrators are being appointed to run the affairs of the 6 newly created or reconstructed local governments in the state. I have also approved that a committee be set up to examine and submit recommendations to government on the delimitation of boundaries between the newly created and the reconstructed local government areas. The same committee will consider and make proposals on the sharing of assets and liabilities of the affected local governments. The 2 exercises will be completed within 1 and 2 weeks respectively. The swearing-in ceremony of 6 senior civil servants to the newly created and reconstructed local governments, which you have just witnessed, is intended to ensure continuity in the administration and management of the affected local governments in the state during the intervening period. Stakeholders have been carefully selected among eligible officers of proven integrity, competency, and loyalty. I congratulate you all on your well-deserved appointment. It is required of each and every one of you to quickly grasp the essentials and management of the grassroots and demonstrate a keen knowledge and understanding of the peculiarities of your respective local government areas. This will no doubt facilitate the smooth and immediate takeoff of the new sole administratorship, which, as on previous occasions, will operate without councillors or the council. Once again, I want to emphasize that the main focus of the activities of the present administration is the successful implementation of the transition program, including the various elections and the national census. The expectation of government is that it should spare no effort in ensuring the successful implementation of the program in your area and provide necessary support and assistance to the federal government agencies having overall responsibility for the various aspects of the program. I should also seize this opportunity to remind the sole administrators of the provisions of Section 33 of the Local Government Basic Constitutional and Transitional Provisions Decree 1989 as they relate to the conduct of public officers under the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Decree 1989. Let me further stress the importance which the present military administration attaches to accountability and judicious use of public resources. We will not engage in any wasteful spending, but will ensure that ongoing projects and those affecting the transition programs are successfully implemented. We will at all times be guided by the operational guidelines issued for the effective performance of your duties. At this note, let me acknowledge and commend the contributions of the former chairman, vice chairman, leaders, deputy leaders, and councillors of the affected local government councils to the development of their respective local government areas during the brief period of their tenure of office. I wish them very best in their future undertakings. Once again, I welcome the sole administrators into office with the charge that they must see their appointment as a challenge and a call to render selfless service to the state and government. And I wish you good luck with it.
Chairman and sole administrator of local government, Auburn Rashid is here present. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives you all to the ceremony an open-air service reception held in honor of the First Lady, Mrs. Mariam Babangida, recipient of the 1991 Africa Prize for Leadership of Sustainable End to Hunger. The Better Life program was conceived in support of the policy of the present administration to develop the rural areas, and as a result of the concern of the First Lady, Mrs. Mariam Babangida, for the plight of our rural women. The program has the following objectives: stimulate and motivate women in rural areas towards achieving a better and higher standard of life, as well as to sensitize the general public to the plight of rural women, to educate women on sustainable hygiene, family planning, the importance of child care, and to increase literacy, to mobilize women for concrete activities towards achieving specific objectives, including seeking leadership roles in all spheres of national life, and resolution of their problems through collective action, to raise the social consciousness of women
about their rights as well as social, political, and economic responsibilities, to encourage and institutionalize recreation. Within the short period of the program, it has become a major focal point for mobilizing rural women for self-development and political awareness in the entire Federation. The program has recorded tremendous achievements over the years, and some of the program has become a household word in both state and local government levels. Numerous problems militating against the development of Nigeria's rural areas have not only been identified, but codified. It has mobilized and motivated women to take positive steps towards solving their problems through self-help efforts and seeking support of designated government agencies. I must say that an impressive and successful national fairs with primary emphasis on farm produce, arts and crafts, as well as technological innovations were organized in September 1988 and March 1990. Fairs have continued to attract commendations from customers both from the domestic and international markets. The fairs have generally succeeded in creating market outlets for different types of products offered by the rural woman, thus leading to enhanced income and better family life. Since the First Lady, Mrs. Miriam Babangida, introduced the Better Life program, there has been an increased awareness and participation in the existing primary health care program and imparting to rural women additional and varied skills in food processing, preservation, and packaging. The Better Life program has also helped our women populace, particularly those in the rural areas, to form cooperative societies which had ensured greater access to credit facilities for women, particularly through cooperative societies and the People's Bank of Nigeria. I must say that our men are now asking for their own Better Life program, and I'm sure today the men will have a lot to learn from our own program. It is also significant to note that the genuineness of purpose and impact of the Better Life program has won the confidence and recognition of the international community. Today, the First Lady, Mrs. Miriam Babangida, is being honored for spearheading a program which has contributed substantially to the economic growth of the nation. She has also succeeded in eliminating hunger and poverty among our rural women in this country. You will agree with me that the honor being conferred on our First Lady is a testimony to her hard work and concern for the welfare of our women populace, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa. The achievements of Mrs. Miriam Babangida is being applauded all over the world today, not because of her gender alone, but her intellectual capabilities. And staff of Lagos State Commission for Women, I congratulate our First Lady, Mrs. Miriam Babangida, for bringing glory and honor to Nigeria in particular, and women's folk in general. Once again, I welcome you all to this historic occasion. Thank you for listening, and God bless. Rising, 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 women are rising for no more.
It's a matter of fact that women are rising to hold no more, but they have forgotten to clap for themselves. I don't know if you can still remember to clap for yourselves now. Let me call on Mrs. Shita to briefly translate what the chairman has just said.
Àwọn màmá wa kúrò pé tí wọ́n jẹ́ alága ìjọ àwọn obìnrin ní ìdílé Èkó, wọ́n kí gbogbo àwa tí a péjọ ní ìpéjọ yìí ìpàdé tí ó wà fún pàtàkì. Ó ní láti fi àjọyọ̀ pẹ̀lú màmá wa, ìyàwó ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà, tí mo fi fi ọ̀wọ̀tọ̀wọ̀ pé orúkọ wọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ Mariam Babangida, tí wọ́n dá ní ọlá ní èyí ní ìlú Britain, tí ṣe ilẹ̀ àwọn aláwọ̀ funfun. Oyè tí wọ́n ti dá ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà, wọ́n ní ọgbà oyè tí wọ́n fi wọ́n. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ti mọ̀ wípé ẹgbẹ́ Better Life yìí ti gbé àwọn obìnrin lárugẹ, ó sì ti jẹ́ kí ojú wa kí ó là ó ti jẹ́ kí á mọ̀ pé kì í ṣe pé á jókòó sínú ilé tàbí ká dáná oúnjẹ olùkọ́ ní àwà fún wọ́n ní bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àwọn ọkùnrin gẹ́gẹ́ làwọn náà sọ pé àwọn náà fẹ́ gbègbè sí ayé tó dáa o wọ́n ní ìdí èyí ni ó ti yẹ kó ṣe pé gbogbo àwọn obìnrin bí a ṣe ń ṣe é bọ̀ tí àwọn oní mílítírì àwọn ológun bá lọ pé kí á jọ̀rọ̀ ká tún rí pé a tún ń bá lọ gẹ́gẹ́ tó wọ́n ní bákan náà wọ́n ní àwọn wá ń bẹ̀bẹ̀ fún gbogbo àwọn obìnrin ní ṣókí wípé kí á sì túbọ̀ rí pé à ń gbé orílẹ̀-èdè lárugẹ ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ o.
ọ̀tọ̀ ni àwọn obìnrin ò gbàgbéra wọn wọ́n ti pàtẹ́wọ́ fúnra wọn sí yan irúbìnrin ẹgbẹ́ yín ló sọ̀rọ̀ tọ́ yẹn. Occasion was conceived as an open-air service.
Ẹ dìde kí gbogbo wa jọ ṣe àfọ̀mọ́fún ọlọ́run. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wallahu akbar, wallahu akbar, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa بالله العلي العظيم. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا